You're live.
Hi, COYS. How you doing? We're just getting this set up for you all. I'm joining it. So, a bit weird because I can see myself, and Bob can see himself. So this is definitely slightly strange. There we go. It's live. Okay. Cool. Anyone that's got any questions at all along the way, put them in the chat, and then Bob and I will talk about them, answer them, vent, whatever you want us to do. We'll do it. I'm still heartbroken over yesterday's game because I thought we were getting glory for a second. Again. Dan Ramos, who couldn't finish his dinner in the Champions League games against other teams I watched, and yeah, he had to put one past us. Great. Yes. Here we go. Spurs Street's on. Hi, Spurs Street. Yeah, I was absolutely fuming with Ramos. I'm like, what's this geezer doing, man? Missed his chances all over the shop against Arsenal, I think it was. Do you remember he missed those couple against Arsenal? And then, yeah, against us, though, he don't. Yeah. I won't say what I really think. Fuming. Hate him. Yeah, it is because we lost. Hi, GPK71. Yeah. Yes. We'll wait for a few more people to come in, and then we'll get cracking. Hope you guys aren't too disheartened by yesterday. I am.
I'm
liking the hat, Bob, by the way.
Full.
That's a good hat.
Thank you very much. This was my from my.
I haven't got Spurs brands on mine. Mine's just Adidas.
This is my £20 voucher purchase last season.
Nice, yeah. It's worth using that season ticket or discount I get every year. Definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. We're just waiting for a couple more people. Okay. Right. Oh, we've got some more. Spurs, what ho chat. Great to see you, glorious faces once again. Nice to see you again, Sim Spurs.
Thank you, Sim Spurs.
Obviously miss his face, yeah. My wife doesn't say that anymore.
No.
GPK, so many positives, but obviously disappointment. Yeah. I was absolutely buzzing at 2-0. I couldn't believe it, to be honest. I was in dreamland, weren't we?
Yeah, and it was so close to 3.
I know. That's what. That Danso header, I celebrated. I celebrated. I was up. I was going, yes, done it again. I thought, I hate it when that happens as well, when it's going to side netting.
Yeah.
Actually reminded me that the Garnacho one in the final, last second. I for a split second thought I'm behind it, and even then I thought it was in just out of fear. It wasn't Garnacho, it was Casemiro, wasn't it? But it was both against each other. Oh god, that was so close. Hi, Loyal. How you doing? Long time COYS today. I like Loyal. Thanks, Sim Spurs saying about the set pieces. Yes. Well, in the Champions League last season, if you watch them, they were absolutely horrendous in the air. That's the one area you can hurt them. I mean, Arsenal, or Stoke as we call them now, they obliterated them here, really. And I'm really glad to see we targeted that. And to be honest, Bob, I don't know what you think. I think we might cause a lot of teams problems because we look really good on set pieces, I think.
We got some big players now.
Anyway, yeah. Especially with Danso in there as well. He's really good in there.
And I don't know what Kudus is going to be like in the air, but I imagine he'll cause chaos.
Yeah.
He's a big lad.
I'm pretty sure he scored. He hasn't scored loads for West Ham. I'm pretty sure he scored one header, maybe 2 headers, but he's not going to. You know that one last night where he was just offside? Like, I think he'll attack the ball. I don't think he'll have any qualms about attacking. I don't think he's going to outleap the defender, but he'll find space in the box, I think.
But what I'm thinking is, like, at a physically contested set piece, he's going to do more than Johnson would.
He's so strong. That's what I was so excited when we signed him. I was just so excited because he's such a good player. I honestly think he reminds me a little bit in his strength of Dembele. It's obviously he's left-footed as well, so I think that kind of makes you feel like that as well. But obviously he's more of a wide player. But definitely like Dembele vibes, the way he just holds people. I mean, and Mendes is strong for
Yeah,
a fullback, and he just absolutely
yeah,
bodied him. That was great to see actually.
yeah. It was. It
um,
was nice.
I think why don't we talk? We'll wait for some questions. Anyone, feel free to just ask any questions you want, and Prof will moderate and put them across to us, and we can read them out and then answer them. Before we do it, what did you make of the kind of overall game? What were your feelings? Yeah, yeah, and then yeah, yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? And Kudus won that as well. Won that free kick, first free kick. Uh, people were talking about Savinho as well. I thought that I was a bit worried when we set up a back five because I've Conte, Mourinho, like a kind of PTSD, Nuno. But I have to say, it worked really well. I think largely in part to the fact that both wing backs were really good. I cannot believe the difference in Porro defensively from when he signed. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's crazy. If you told me he was going up against Barcola a couple of years ago, I would have thought, God, God help us. But he defended him really well.
He's always been, I think, technically possibly our best player,
Yeah,
but never thought he'd turn into a really, really good fullback.
I think he'll get a lot better as well because Frank's a lot hotter on defending, so I think he'll naturally pick up more. And he's hungry, he wants to learn. I think Porro. So, and I've got to talk about Spence quickly. That man is one of the best lockdown fullbacks on the planet, let
Yeah,
alone in the Premier League. Like I think he takes it as a personal challenge when he's up against one of the best players. I really do. I think he says, and I used to be a little bit like that when in my amateur days. I was like, if I knew someone was really good, I was like, I want to play up against that person. I want to go up against them and see what I can do. And he does that, and he just skin anything. Like it's just crazy. He's so fast as well. What a player. Just briefly stop us there to read a question. This is from Prof. He says, "Oh, am I still upset about Polina signing?" It look, he played really well last night. I give it to him. He was excellent. He covered space really well. He protected the back four really well. He didn't really get loads of touches on the ball, but I think a game like that is quite well suited to his skill set. Uh, my concern with him is probably more in the games where I expect us to have more of the ball and how will he do? How much will he contribute? How much will it hold us back? But we'll see. But played really well last night, and that if I hope he does really really well, and I look silly because I want us to win. So, what do you think,
yeah.
Bob?
I think, as much as you say, horses for courses. I think there are certain games when he will be excellent, but my worry is until we get a actual creative midfielder, whether that's a 10 or someone else to play more creative at 8, he can win the ball, and then his only real outlets are the fullbacks to push
Yeah,
forward.
yeah. I actually wondered.
And then we might get a bit stodgy because Loves are amazing. Really like Benton Curry's, he's a classy player, but they're not going to progress the ball without running
Yeah.
so much, and then we
Hopefully we give
could get a little
ourselves.
bit penned in.
Yeah, hopefully we get enough options so we can mix it so that we've always got a nice balance. Got another question actually, Bob. Here we've got Forza. He said it's extremely early, but what's the most promising thing you've seen so far about Frank? Come on, Bob. Bob has frozen. Hang on. Lost you there for a second, Bob. I'll answer it while Bob, you had some technical issues there, I think. Uh, yeah, go on, go for it now.
No, as I think I mentioned to you earlier, the fact that he isn't on his own, he clearly is working on everything all the time with his team,
Yeah.
so that it's not just his idea and then that's it if it doesn't work. And I'm not harking back to anyone here, but I think he's more progressive as a coach than we've had for a while, actually.
Mm. I, I like the fact that this sounds ridiculous, but I like the fact that he's another good man at least, because I feel like it's really nice to have that continuity. We've not got from someone like Ange to someone really kind of you don't really like. At least he's a really good man. I've got some. I'll touch on tactically a couple of concerns from yesterday I've got, but at least he's a really good man. And I like the fact he's always learning and brings big coaching staff, and he's looking at that like he's a progressive because I think that's the way to go, especially with
Yeah,
so much data and analytics now in football. So
yeah.
that's what I think about that. We've got we've got another question from Green. Evening, gents. I'm interested in how you think our midfield balance will shape up this season. Other pending signings, Eze, etc., or the current lot with Madison injured. Interested in how we're going to create chances for attackers. Do you want to take this one, Bob? Do you want me to?
Yeah, so fullbacks are key, clearly. Whether we're in the back five or a back four, until we get different players up front, we need to work out a way of getting Kudus free. I think that's
Yeah,
going to be key. He doesn't want to be picking the ball up too deep, and he doesn't want to be. He doesn't want Porro taking his space, if that makes sense. So getting that balance on the right hand side is
chemistry
going to
as well
be,
between the two, and
yeah,
knowing when to invert, when to overlap both of them, because they can
yeah,
both kind of do either. I think, can't they?
yes, yeah. So
Yeah.
working that, I think, will be key to our attacking midfield balance. They're all a bit one type of midfielder at the moment. I
If
think
we
the ones
assume
that
we
fit,
if we assume we got Eze, so let's say we got Eze. So
yeah.
how would you mix the three then? What would you do?
Um, do you know? It's yeah. It's I think it's Eze and then two of the
Two
others,
from
and I
yeah, yeah, he's playing really well. In terms of the chance creation that Green's mentioned, I think I've obviously mentioned on COYS a lot about a lack of a passer in midfield. I think the way round it, if we got Eze, I don't know if we're going to get Savigny as well, but if we did or if we didn't, we could play Alderweireld. I think the way to try and get round it is to be extremely strong in transition, basically win the ball. We saw some signs of it last night when Sarr kind of nipped the ball and drove forward, but he's not really got the creation at the end of that. Whereas someone like Eze, if he won the ball in that area and drove forward, then you've got him and Kudus, for example, and maybe someone on the left. Um, we could be very strong transitioning. I just think we might struggle when teams camp in. Although that said, what Eze and Kudus are both pretty good in tight spaces, which we haven't had
yes,
before. So that might get around a little bit. Just when teams press us really intensely, because PSG didn't really do that last night because of their fitness, that's where we might struggle without someone to quickly find a pass through the pressure. But we'll see how that
yeah,
progresses. But that's how what I would do for now is focus on being as transitional as possible until we
yeah,
kind of change the mold. We've got James. He says during lockdown and the quiz cast we did. I remember Nick mentioning how excited I was when Modric signed. Has there been anyone since that either of you have got that excited about, or do any of our potential signs make you feel that way? Well, I got pretty excited with Kudus. I did. I love Kudus.
yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Bob? Come on.
Um, God, it's been a long time since we signed Modric, and there's been a lot of players.
I mean, I got really excited over
Um,
Ndombele. Everyone knows that pretty much, and Lo
yeah,
Celso. But talent wise, I think it was there. It was just obviously stuff off the field with Ndombele.
yeah.
But
God, I mean, I won't lie. I'm struggling to
I've got I've,
pick out
I've got one from
a
last
name.
summer we didn't get, but that was Doué because I knew a lot about Doué, and I
Yeah,
was absolutely going crazy when I thought we might get him because I think everyone's seen now that kid is just insane. But
yeah.
um,
I
but no, yeah,
yeah. I was excited with Romero, to be honest.
with Romero, yeah, yeah,
He's a
he was a
different
pretty
kind of player,
good.
but
So I'm just looking at this. Yeah, yeah, Romero's a pretty big. I'm trying to think of anyone else actually, because sometimes you're thinking you end up missing someone obvious.
yeah,
Tell I was pretty excited about. I know he's not done it so far, but he's he's very young. He's had a lot of there's a lot of coaches and stuff talk about him a lot. So he has got something about him. Hopefully he fulfills it here. Yeah, probably. probably the one we didn't sign, and probably in terms of who we have signed, no one's reached the Modric level. I mean, if we'd signed
No.
Suarez, anyone that's been on here COYS long term, if we'd have signed Suarez, you'd have seen me on the news, basically,
Yeah.
running down the street. But it didn't happen. Damn Liverpool. Sim Spurs, what formations do you see us playing this year? I think it's unlikely we start the same back three against Burnley, and suspect we have a manager that will be all about, as you said earlier, horses for courses. That might well lead to multiple formations over the year. Yeah, Bob, I think I agree with you, mate. To be honest,
Yeah, and hopefully proper rotation.
And also different type. You can play the same formation in different ways. So, i.e., you could play a 4-2-3-1 formation, but you could have both fullbacks attacking
Yeah,
and one of the midfielders dropping into the back line into the make a three, like Poch used to. Or you can have a 4-2-3-1 where one of the fullbacks tucks in and makes a back three, and the other fullback overlaps, and then one of your wide
yeah,
players stays wider. If we signed someone like Savinho, could well see Udogi forming a back three with Van der Ven and Romero, and have Savinho holding width on one side, Kudus drifting in on the other, and Porro
yeah,
coming in. So there's different ways within the actual formations as well. Because one thing about formations, you see them on paper, but actually a formation is mainly dictated by your out of possession work. It's like if you play a back five, you press very differently, typically, to how you would press in a back four. That's one of the reasons I often don't like a back five, because I don't think you can press as effectively. But if we come back to the game yesterday, our pressing in a back five in the first half was excellent. We went man to
mm.
man. I don't know if you can use that question there to touch on that, Bob. But
Yeah. I mean, it depends. Like, you're better with techniques than I am. I would say it depends whether you have a passive or aggressive three centre backs.
mm,
So if you have three big immobile centre backs, they're just going to stand there and try and head or tackle everything away. They're not going to push much. But we've got Romero loves to push up and press,
just a
as we
little
know.
bit.
I don't think Danso, from what we've seen in pre-season, is afraid to do that either. There's been
Yeah,
pre-season games where he was the most advanced of the centre backs, pushing into midfield himself. And then when you've got Van der Ven, you've just got the pace that one or two other centre backs doesn't need to worry quite so much. So it
agree.
does give you, if you've got the right players in that back three centre backs, you can push just as effectively. But
You can certainly go
you're
man
not
to man. I
really
mean,
defending as a back five. Then you're almost defending as a back four with
that's
one of your centre
that's what I quite
backs.
enjoyed first half, is actually we didn't just sit. We actually pressed. I mean, all the
Yeah,
time, but like, it was calculated. Like sometimes we pressed high, sometimes we pressed mid block, and then we dropped off when they got through to a certain area. I felt
yeah,
like second half, as we tired, maybe come to that later, that we just went into our box, and that's where we had trouble. And that reminded me a bit of the old days of Mourinho, where you're kind of waiting for a goal to get conceded. But I certainly think different formations and the same formation can be deployed in a very different way depending on who you pick in the team, for example.
yeah.
So that's a really good question about what we might do, though. Loyal says, I'd be reluctant to change a team that performed so well. However, we're likely to come up against the low block on Saturday. On the assumption we revert back to 4-2-3-1, what changes are you making for Burnley? Good luck, Bob. You go first.
Um, I saw very little of Burnley last year, and I mean, not unsurprisingly.
I
And I
can touch a little bit
know,
on it in a minute if you like. Yeah.
yeah, I know they were very solid defensively, but I can't imagine they did that as a low block in the Championship. I think they just did it by being a very good defensive side.
Yeah.
Um, and I think Parker is a manager who doesn't like to just be defensive, if that makes sense. I
Mhm.
don't think he's going to want to survive just by being the team that is low block all the time.
Yeah. So I did some research. When teams come up from the Championship, I hate looking too much at what they did in the past, if you know what I mean, because
Yeah,
like Brentford in the Championship, for example, Frank played a completely different brand of football to how they were in the Premier League because they had to survive. But I did
yeah,
a little look at Burnley in pre-season, and they've mainly gone with 4-2-3-1 still. They've obviously got three new players in their back five because they lost their goalkeeper.
yeah,
They've signed Carl Walker, is right back, who we know very
yeah,
well, and Hartman is left back. Now Hartman really well rated at final, had a bad injury if I remember right, and was out for quite a long time. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. I would imagine it would be interesting if he changes to about five. It could work in our favour if they haven't been doing it regularly. That's the thing.
yeah,
If they haven't been working on it regularly. But I would imagine they'll probably go with a back four with Walker and Hartman. So
Yeah.
they'll be hard to break down. I think he's not going to come to us and try and go at us gung ho. I
No.
really don't see that. So what would you change in our team? What tweaks would you make? You've got to go back four, I think, for
Yeah,
starters.
you've got to go back four, but then it's
I mean, how tired are
which
the players
means
as well?
yeah.
Mm,
If you go back four, I think it's Dancer that gets dropped, unfortunately, through no fault of his own.
yeah, agree.
It then just is who comes in. How do you change the attacking setup?
Yep.
Which didn't. I don't think it. I mean, it was pretty much it was the two centre backs and then nearly the third centre back who scored last night.
Yeah.
I don't know how much we created in that attacking unit, really, and I don't quite know who's available to bring
I,
in.
I
That's the
would bring
problem.
in Odebear on one
Yeah,
flank to have him on the left, and I'd have Kudus on the right. So we've got two dribblers because if they are going to sit back, one of the things we struggle with so much in the past is not having anyone to take people on against those types of teams. So I think if we can
yeah,
actually put two of them on the pitch at the same time on either flank, that straight away should hopefully stretch the defence, and they will have to. The fullback will have to occupy that winger, and they might draw someone else across as well. So I'd definitely go for Odebear and Kudus, if as long as they're. I'm assuming that certain players are fit still from obviously from last night's game. Um,
yeah.
would you play? I
Well,
think you would have to play
I was
Richarlison up front again because Solanke
yeah,
didn't look right at
I
all.
was just wondering whether it'd be harsh to drop Richarlison, and I know there's been some thoughts on how Tell was,
Mm,
but if you in a night if you had a match fit um Solanke, whether you could play him as more of an old fashioned, like a big man, small man, old fashioned as that sounds, with
mm.
Tell, because we know how good
What
Solanke's
four four
hold up
two
play is. Yeah, sort of.
possibly?
And then Solanke's working the back four and Tell just making runs.
I mean, if you had Porro overlapping Kudus would come inside in there and Tell would drop off in there. So, or
Yeah,
Solanke would drop off and you'd have two. I mean, we're almost certainly not going to have a number 10 for the game because unless
no,
Eze deal gets done and
yeah,
before midday tomorrow. So I'm going to assume that's not done.
no,
I think we should use Bergvall. That's one thing I was quite
yeah,
disappointed that Bergvall didn't come on earlier. I think I said to you today on WhatsApp,
yeah,
like he should have come on for me instead of Gray because I think he's top level. So I think he should play.
yeah,
If we do play for him midfield, I ideally wouldn't play him in 10, but I think of the players we've got against a team like Burnley, maybe he works best.
yeah,
Um, and it's difficult. It's just it's hard to say for sure because we just don't know where players are at fitness wise. But
no,
if we assume all things equal, I think Saar probably has to play.
yeah,
I would probably go Saar, Bentancur, and Bergvall in midfield, and then Odebear, Kudus, and probably Richarlison, depending on
yeah,
fitness. I think would be my gut feeling. And then the back four, like you said, that Spence, Van de Ven, Romero, and Porro.
yeah.
Um, So, Spurs Street says, what player or players do you think Frank will improve the most? I've got my
I mean,
answer.
yeah, I think it's any one of the young strikers. To be honest, Odebear,
Okay.
Tell, Kudus. That's his track record that he had at Brentford. It's taking talented, but not necessarily, you know, not necessarily the most fancied of strikers, and turning them into players that score a lot of goals.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
Kudus for
he's
me.
got, yeah,
Thinking
and
doing
he's
an
got
Burma
players
on
that he
him.
can do that with. Sorry,
You're doing an Burma on Kudus, I reckon. Once we get a bit more creativity around him as well, I think, and let
yeah,
him kind of get more because we need to get him on the ball more and get him into dangerous areas more. But I think Kudus. I might mention
yeah.
Kudus a few times in this chat. I do like him. Um, I'm going to try and pronounce this. Len Fuing. I thought Saar was brilliant last night. Do you see him playing irregularly against a low block team, or will he be used more in special operation games, as Frank termed it? Go on, Bob.
um, yeah, I think now that he seems to be more willing to attack. Pre-season he was attacking the box to score goals and wasn't afraid to shoot. That helped against a low block team.
Yeah,
So if he's making runs from deep, that's going to help because they won't be able to pick him up so easily.
Yeah. I
So
think if we sign someone like Eze, then Sarr will mainly be used in the double pivot. But I think if there still might be some games where he plays him in that kind of pressing third midfielder role, and then he
yeah,
might play as a wider, depending on who else we sign. That I'm not sure, but I can definitely see him playing in that position again, given how well he played. I mean, his out of possession work was phenomenal. His
it
energy and
was.
his the amount of times he won the ball back, like in all phases of the pitch. Like I
Yeah,
think it was that remember that cross where they did get down the right and they put it, and Sarr just came out of nowhere and blocked it in the first
yeah.
half.
But
And
all
then he was,
pre-season, he's
yeah, he
been
has,
popping up at fullback
yeah, yeah.
on cover.
If he can improve his in possession game and he plays like that out of possession, then he's an absolute like world class player in the making. So if
Yeah,
it's just that it's quite a stiff player when he's on the ball. He's quite upright and stiff. He's a bit like Johnson, but he's got better technique than Johnson. But when you're like that, you're quite stiff. It's quite difficult to take the ball on the turn, and so that can become quite difficult. I've got a question here coming through.
where did that come from?
I don't know. It's private, so I don't know how that's happened. But unless people from COYS have joined on their mobile, to be fair, it could be.
Possible.
Top three players from our past who'd like to see some for this season at the peak. I'll come to that in a minute because we've got questions here first.
Yeah.
Lenandinho, who's going to be our backup to Danso for our long throw-in specialist, and how many goals will we score from throw-ins this year? I'm going to say we're going to score. You never score as many as you think in set piece. I'll say we're going to score 3 from throw-ins this year,
Okay.
but we might score more indirectly. Like as a result, like it comes out and we put the ball back in, or it causes chaos. Who do you think's the backup then? I feel like we saw something somewhere that said who came second, and I can't remember
Yes,
who it
I
was.
thought,
Though.
but I
Do you
can't
remember
remember
that?
who it was.
Was it
No.
Spence? Was it? Was it
I
Van der
mean,
Ven? Was it Van der
Van de Ven
Ven?
looks like he's got the levers
I mean, Van der Ven can
to
pretty
do a
much do
long
anything,
throw.
so it wouldn't surprise me. Van der Ven could, with the speed he'll run to the touchline to actually throw it, the ball will go 100 mile an hour.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, he's out injured at the moment, and he's probably not likely to start. But given his family history, I wonder whether Dragusin could be quite good.
yeah, I mean, he's a powerful man, isn't he? So he could be.
Yeah,
Could be.
but he's can't bring him off the bench to do them. Sadly,
I'm going to say Van der Ven. I just feel like he's Superman, so surely he can throw the ball long because what can't
yeah.
he do, to be fair? Yeah. Des the Year says, evening, gents. Exciting end to the window with Savino and Eze. Would that alone be a fantastic window in addition to what we have? I'll do unspeakable things if we sign Savino. I'm just going to put that out there right now. Because we should not be signing a player like Savino. I don't mean that offensively against us, but once he's gone to Man City, he should not be attainable. And the fact he is,
No.
the club probably can't believe it, and they should grab that opportunity with everything they've got because he could become absolute world class if they can, and he can play either flank. And not many
Yeah,
wingers can do that these days, but he genuinely can play left and right. So yeah, go on, Bob.
yeah. I mean, I'm not. If we spend 250 million plus this window, I'm really not going to complain. Especially when it's mostly on very exciting attacking players.
Yeah. Right. Who, so I want Savino more than Eze just because of how good he is and how good I think he is. And I think we need a slightly different type of 10. But people probably think, I'll just clarify this. People probably think I don't like Eze because I've said quite often over the last year, like, I don't think we should sign him. But I actually watched him for QPR, and people that were around on COYS might remember me sharing quite a bit of stuff about Eze then. I do like him. I think he's a good player. I just didn't think he was the right fit for what we were kind of doing under Ange. And then probably not now. Maybe now that we've transitioned and stuff, I might be wrong. And the way we play might actually suit him really well. So, look, listen. If we get 2 players like that, it's going to be fun. At least it'll be fun to watch. At the very least. So
And
I'll keep
yeah,
everything crossed.
and I can say, like his last 2 big games for Palace, were obviously the Charity Shield and the Cup final.
Yeah.
He was not afraid to play the 2 best teams in the country and pretty much be the best player on the park.
No, yeah, he's got. He's certainly got a bit of Spurs DNA about him. That's for sure.
Yeah,
That silkiness
he's a
and
very. I nearly
yeah,
said the word we're not allowed to say. Then he's a very Tottenham player.
he is. Yeah, he's a very Tottenham player.
Yeah.
Another quick question from Des. Is Sarr going to have a bigger impact this season than Bergvall? And we kind of touched a little bit on Sarr. I I still think Bergvall. I don't know why he's not playing as much at the moment. I hope it's just he's learning maybe out of possession stuff from Frank, something like that. But I do think Sarr's going to have a big season because Frank clearly has taken a liking to him. But Bergvall is an insane centre midfield talent, and I still think he'll come up. Whether it's later in the season or whatever, I think he'll break in because he's just too good not to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think just need to remember the Bergval. He's what, 19 and a half. He's only played 25 games of top flight football. A huge
yeah,
amount of talent, but he's got a lot of football learning to do yet.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, Carl's got 3 times the top flight games on him.
That's a good point. That's a good point. In fairness, Jack Dawes says hang on, sorry. Jack Dawes says, "Hi lads, bit late joining, but better late than ever. Do you think we need an upgrade on our strikers, and should we sell Richie or Solanke?" Quick answer: yes. We do need, I think, a better striker. Not that it's easy because, as we've seen in this market, there's very little kind of guaranteed hits. I think, and everyone's assuming Jokeres and Sesko are just going to light it up, but it may not work like that. Who'd you sell, Bob?
It's Richie because of the injuries and the age, sadly.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Do you know, in an ideal world, you keep both of them. If we had the money not to sell either, then you can have 3 strikers.
Yeah,
But
we have got the Irish R9 coming through in January as well. Mason Melia, who, for those of you who haven't seen clips, I suggest you go and watch them because that kid looks very very good. And obviously not the same level, but keep an eye on that. He might turn that really good.
yeah,
I think you're right. Richarlison has to be the one that's sacrificed because the availability. You've got,
yeah.
I know Solanke's had some issues, but generally it's the first time he's had issues for quite a long time. Maybe it's the Spurs curse, who knows? But I think we do need a striker, but I think it's probably something we'll look at next summer because you've got to do it in phase. You can't get everything done in one go, and especially with our squad issues as well, homegrown, and especially in Europe. James says, we have so many young prospects that we've either purchased or come through the academy. Is there one that you think will really become a big player for us in the future? Bob, I'm just going to turn my light on 2 seconds.
I'll carry on.
There we go. I'm back.
Yeah, so I'm with Nick. I think Bergvall's going to be a massive, massive star. For the academy, I think we've all got huge hopes for Mikey Moore. He needs a good season at Rangers. But again, you know what? The problem, our good youngsters, they're all like 19 or younger.
Yeah. Or even younger, like 17,
Yeah,
18. Like it's
yeah. So
there's quite a few in that
LWB,
category.
he's a kid, but everyone seems to have that knows the academy has really high hopes for him.
Yeah.
We need a couple more years
Teenan
for them
Thompson
to.
coming through. He looks a really good player every time I watch him. Left winger.
Yeah,
Played in pre-season, got an assist. Luca Williams-Barnett's the kind of one. I'm actually kind of, from what I'm hearing, he might be even more highly rated than Mikey Moore is,
yeah,
to be honest. And he looks so silky every time I watch him. So smooth on the ball. Reminds me a little bit of Cole Palmer. Just the kind of that type of 10 where he could play from the sides and play there. Not so much of a. I think he can dictate play in his own way, but he's not really like an Ericsson. He reminds me a bit of Palmer. I might be wrong, but that's the kind of vibe I get from watching him. So probably
yeah.
say Luca Williams-Barnett or Mikey Moore are the two kind of academy ones that are obvious. But Byfield's really highly rated as well. Calgary Spurs, Vuskovic ready for first team or need to go on loan? I haven't seen enough of him to know in out shirt, I'd say. But he looked really good. I mean, he looks the part. He looks mustard when he plays. He looks assured, confident. Yeah. What do you think, Bob?
But he's got a good long throw on him.
Right, you don't waste him on the throws. You get him in a box. That guy is an absolute monster in
He
the
can
air.
take them and then sprint into the box.
You know, you used to play against like Bolton or whatever, and Kevin Davies, and you just think, God, he's scoring from a header. Like
Yeah.
Vuskovic is literally that. I'm surprised we didn't throw him on up front in the last when they equalised. Just 30 seconds, a minute left, just chuck Vuskovic on, pump the ball up to him, probably score. So I don't know. I think we just need to trust the club's judgment. He looks really good to me, but I haven't seen him get tested enough defensively to know for sure exactly where he is. But
Yeah.
on the other hand, you sign these young players, you kind of need to give them a chance at some point. Yeah,
Yeah.
otherwise, what's the point? Yeah. Um, Gary Spurs says, does the fact Frank played three centre backs and likely will do a good bit this season really push the need for another top centre back? The drop down from Van der Ven, Cutie, and Danso is too much. But again, depends on how much he wants to play back through.
Yeah.
To be honest, I mean, the difficulty you have, I think, unless you've got someone that can play dual roles, like i.e. play midfield and centre back, like we used to have with Dyer, is when you build the squad, especially with our issues, if you build it out for a back five, it's a bit different to building it out for a 4-2-3-1 because you need more attackers in one than you do in another. So that would be a question mark to me. I don't know what you think, Bob.
Yeah. I know we keep being linked with centre backs, but the rumour is we're looking at another centre back. I worry in that I don't know what Dragusin will be like in a manager who knows how to coach your defence. He
Uh,
looks good for Romania.
Yeah,
I know it's
he won't necessarily be able to be registered either. I have to really
okay.
stress the Champions League stuff. Like we
Yeah,
are, I try, the management, the squad management thread on COYS is really good. But like if you look at that, we barely have room. And if we signed Eze and Savino, for example,
yeah,
we're probably and we didn't sell any of the other attackers. One of those has to be left out straight away,
yeah,
at least, and possibly Kulusevski as well. Off the top of my head, I can't remember now. So it could be two attackers that have to be left out, let alone like defenders.
yeah. And then if we sign another centre back, given we have four
Mm.
young centre backs at least, and then the lad who was on the bench last night, do we want to be? We can't keep. There's no point in signing 19-year-olds if you
Yeah,
keep then signing a 24-year-old
I know.
as your fourth choice because they're not going to play.
It's difficult because you don't know. You pray that Van der Ven and Romero don't both get injured at the same time. How can you you can't plan your whole squad around that happening? Like
No,
it's just, but it is a scary thought. But um, Prof says, is it fair to say Ben Davies can do a job for us as a backup centre back when needed, but not as a backup left back? I'll let you answer that, Bob, because obviously,
in a three, I would have no worries to be honest.
yeah.
Because you've got whoever is playing left back has the pace and the ability to help him. But that's the only. I think that's pretty much the only place I would play him now.
Oh, we won't be as hard at pitch, so he shouldn't get exposed to centre back as much as he would have done. Excuse me, under Ange, but I thought we'd sign a. I thought we'd try and get a left-footed defender who can cover left back and left centre back in the way that Davies kind of did, but a
Yes.
bit more mobile, and then keep Davies around, not necessarily in the Champions League squad, but keep him around in the Premier League squad and around the club for another season for morale. And obviously, he's a very well-known character. He's a really good trainer, and keep him there as that kind of. So he's there as an option in the Premier League, but in the Champions
Yeah.
League, we'd have that other player that's come in that can play left back and left centre back.
Yeah.
There's two or three options we could have maybe signed. Maybe that is the defender we're trying to sign. I don't know, but it always seems to be a right footer we're getting linked to. Always
Yes.
Gay, De Winter. Who was the other one we got linked to? Zabani, who I really like, but they're all right footers, which
Yeah.
confuses me a little bit because they were quite stacked there.
Yeah.
Lennon Dina says, what do you think about Paratici being next to Lange last night? Ali Gold says he has a temporary contract till the end of the window, but likely to return in a more official capacity. Thoughts on his return and where he fits in?
I mean, if we need any players from Juventus, he's quite handy. Um,
I think he's
I don't.
he's a good kind of figurehead, and he knows a lot of people. He knows a lot. He has a lot of contacts. He can do a deal. He can get in there. He can probably sell the club pretty well. I would imagine. He seems like he's got that about him. But
Yeah.
I actually think, in terms of if you look at some of the signings, like Lange, some of the young players that Lange has signed are real talent. Especially if we get Eze and Savino in this window, like look at the
Yeah.
work, some of the work Lange has done. It's like I think it goes a little bit under the radar.
It does. What I will say is how to phrase this. So the three main players that Paratici brought in were Romero, Bentoncourt, and Decky.
Yeah.
All fairly young players. He was instrumental in getting them to Italy when they were even younger.
Yeah,
So
that's true. And
potentially
Dragusin.
so potentially he does have a good young network, but because of where we were for the squad building when he was in charge of it, maybe his remit was just to get first team ready players in.
Mm.
So
It's always difficult with sporting directors because they've become these like mythical people that are in the media and
yeah,
stuff like that. But no one really knows. I mean, when you say a signing is rubbish or a signing is really good, you don't know exactly what's gone into that process. Like he might have scouted. I'm trying to think of someone like the Werner signing, right? The Werner
yeah,
loan in January, and we've re-signed him. Well, what if Ange told him that he wanted him re-signed
yeah,
in the summer? Like you don't, we'll probably never know that, and so you can judge him on that. But if he's doing what the manager wants, and people say back the manager, he's about the
yeah.
manager. So I think it's very difficult to really rate sporting
I mean,
directors
yeah.
completely because we just don't have enough information and the context around it. I think.
I mean, he was. I can't remember how involved he was with Sarr,
Yeah,
but
I think he was one of the main people. I think he got
and then
Sar and
yeah,
Udogi.
and look how much we've now this
Yeah. Oh,
last
he's
year and
definitely
then the
made.
start of this year.
He made some really good signs
Yeah,
on that little string. He got quite a lot. He got quite a few wrong as well. Like quite a few
yeah,
wrong. But there's always going to be a bit of hit and miss. I think. Um,
yeah,
but it'd be interesting to see if they can coexist. If they can work together. It will be very interesting over the kind of next 6 to 12 months to
yeah,
see. Because I imagine Frank has quite a good relationship with Lange, given their past history
yes,
and stuff. So.
yeah.
Um, GPK71, if we do get Eze and or Savino in, do you think any of the regular first teamers from last season will be sold? It is an interesting one because I was thinking about this earlier, and I said to you about the room, and a friend of mine said to me earlier, said, "Do you think Johnson might go because he seems to have gone down the pecking order?" I said, and I think we both agreed that it probably wouldn't happen till maybe
Yeah.
January or next summer. But it does raise the question that someone there is going to probably
I have a controversial on that.
go
I
on.
think it might be Decky
Oh, okay. Go on then.
because if we are building if we have Savino and we have um, the young Korean and we've got Wilson and we've got Kudus, they're all strong, hopefully attacking, dribbly wingers. And I
Yeah.
know Decky gives you something different, but then he might not fit well into the way our attacking patterns are coached. I'm not
Okay.
sure how well he fits into 10, even though he says he wants to play there.
Yeah.
He might be the one. I'm not saying I would get rid of him, but he might be the one that the coaching staff go, he's the least best fit
Very interesting.
for the rest of the group.
Also, do not know how he's going to recover from this injury because it
No,
sounds to me like it was a very similar injury to the one that Neto did, like on the patella.
yeah,
Um, it's why I was surprised when not people, but journalists, and there was some rumours that he might be back for the beginning of the season and stuff. And I was always quite surprised about it. My feelings on it, if it was that kind of injury, would be more like November, December, if we were lucky.
yeah,
And I mean, if he's been out for that length of time, it would take him a while to get going again. And you might be right, the kind of team might have moved beyond him. I don't know. It'd be very interesting because
yeah,
you would think that Frank would quite like him because he's super strong.
yeah,
His physicality is unbelievable. His engine is unbelievable. He don't stop running and pressing, and he's good technically. So
yeah,
you would think he would find a place for him. But that's a very interesting one to keep an eye out for, though. I
yeah.
think we'll keep an eye on that and see if you're proven right.
I mean,
Um,
I kind of hope not, but if someone's got to go,
listen. Teams always sell players. Like Luis Diaz has just left Liverpool. Like you
yeah,
can't necessarily. We get very attached to certain players, so we get freak out if someone's being sold. But teams trade well. It helps them keep competitive and it helps them keep the money flowing on both sides.
yeah,
Liverpool have done that quite well. We typically haven't done that very well over the last few years. We don't sell very
no,
well. Because we don't want to sell the best players or good players because we're afraid that the player we get in might not be as good. But you've got to have faith in the recruitment, I think.
yeah.
Prof says, what can you tell us about Takai, Yang, or McFadden? I'm not sure which one. Who's McFadden? I missed that one.
I don't know who McFadden is.
Or does he mean the? Does he mean the other one that signed from Leeds?
Leeds.
Put that
Oh,
name in.
who's got... What's his name? He's got a fun name, hasn't he?
Or Melia, unless he means Melia,
Melia.
aka Irish Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Irish. No pressure. Takai,
I
I
mean,
don't know that much about.
no,
But he looked quite nice in the videos, but I haven't watched him properly, so I wouldn't be right to make any kind of judgment, to be honest. Yang, I watched a little bit of Championship when he was on loan. He looks a tiny little player, needs to
scored
strengthen
some
up,
nice
really.
finishes, but
Yeah, I think just
yeah,
strength, intensity of the league and stuff is the normal kind of stuff when you come from a much lower league, I
yeah.
think.
I think he's clearly got technical ability.
Yeah, I'm not sure on McFadden, Prof. Either I've missed something there, which I'll hold my hands up if I have, or you mean another player, maybe Amelia. We'll come back to you if you message. Loyal says, I'll put you both on the spot. Predictions. God, one you stand by and one hot take. Apparently, Lennon Dean says McFadden is the Leeds player. I thought he had a different name.
No, it's not.
I thought
I'm
it was
sure
a
it's
different
not.
name, unless you signed another one from Leeds. But anyway, yeah, predictions. One you stand by and one hot take. Jesus.
Oh,
Hot take.
hot take.
I mean, you had a hot take there with Decky potentially being sold. That was a pretty good one. One I stand by. Kudus will prove to be one of the best attacking players in the league when he's fully unleashed, and especially when we put more quality around him. I think Kudus will, and people will go, did we get him from West Ham? What have they done? Basically, what have they done to him? That's my standby, because I think he's a quality player, and I think Frank unlocks him. He'll go up a level. What's your standby one?
My standby. What will I stand by? That we won't finish 17th.
Oh yeah. I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope we're high though.
Yeah.
What's your hot take?
My hot take. Oh, I think that Kudos is gonna prove to be one of the best players in the league. I mean, I don't know whether that is a hot take, but when I look at
plenty
like
of people, not
similar
necessarily Spurs
players,
fans, but a lot of people that Kudus, like not necessarily loads of people on COYS or anything, but I've seen a lot of people laughing saying he played too much. He don't care. He's not that good. His first season was a fluke and all this. So my hot take is this is a tough one. That Kinski will replace Vicario in goal by Christmas. I'll put it out there.
oh,
All right, I'll go for that.
yeah, okay,
I think his ball playing is superior. I think looks like he works very, very hard. And while his shot stopping isn't quite there, I think he's got a much, much higher ceiling as a goalkeeper than
yeah.
Vicario. And
Will he be in the Champions League squad? Do we think?
No, actually, that's a good point. That's thrown my prediction. Well, maybe he'll replace him in the Premier League. Because I don't think we can register him in the Champions League, because you can have an emergency goalkeeper. We were discussing this before, and it looks like there's a way of having maybe Kinski as the emergency keeper should someone get injured. But yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that, and that's
Just
my
to
prediction.
go back, so McFadden did come from Leeds.
He did. Is it
But
different to the other kid we got?
we're thinking of Oliver Boast.
Boast. That's who I was thinking of.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking of.
Yeah. Okay. So hot take then. I'll go Kinski replacing Vicario either by Christmas or by the end of the season. And then you're saying Kudus to be one of the best players in the league.
Yeah.
And the standby, I think Kudus will be one of the best players for us, certainly in the league.
Yeah.
And you're saying standby higher than 17. God, you're a man of true ambition there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Always looking upward.
James says, "What's a good season for us this year, and where do you think we'll finish in the league?"
I mean, I said to my friends and colleagues, some of my good friends and colleagues at work, I think we're top 6. They laughed at me and said, "You don't go from 17th to 6th."
Yes, you do. Forest,
but yeah, and
there.
if you can go from 5th, if you can go from 6th to 17th, you can certainly go back the other way.
That's true. My hope is that beyond position, we see a real kind of Frank's got a lot to learn coming to a bigger club, and so I hope to see signs, unlike Ange, who unfortunately didn't do this, that he learns along the way. So, for example, yesterday I felt like we dropped really deep. I felt it was inevitable we were going to concede, and we did. And it reminded me a bit of Mourinho in the back in 2021. And Brentford had similar kind of issues over the last 2 seasons. They've conceded more, they've lost more points from winning positions than any other team over the last 2 years. And there's some data on low blocks and how long they're holding it. And Brentford are one of the teams that hold in that low block the highest. But he comes across a very smart man. So my hope is that he will adjust over the course of the season. So we'll also might give away points. We'll slowly start to find a way of stopping that. And then hope for a top 7, top 8 finish. I think would be okay, given we're trying to juggle Champions League and that expanded format is incredibly difficult to juggle. I think
It is. I mean, part of my thinking was I looked at who we, in theory, should be competing against. I think Newcastle are going to be weaker.
Villa.
I think Villa are going to be weaker, especially after the transfer today.
Okay.
Or that's meant to be going through. I don't think that. Who else was up there? Manchester
Forest.
United, I expect to come back. Forest, I'm not going to be up there again, I don't think.
Yeah, making a good signing with Callum Window. That's an interesting one. But I do agree. I don't think their style was sustainable. I said that last season. No. It just you can't just sit there and just counterattack constantly. You're going to get found out eventually, I think.
Yeah.
Man U, I think, are going to do quite well.
Yeah.
Especially if they solve their midfield issue. That's the area for them. If they solve the centre midfield issue with the 3 they've got in attack now, and Burmo, Cunha and Sesko with Diallo and Dorgu, that's way more dynamic. And there's a lot more goals in there. So I think they'll fly. And they've only got 1 game a week, which is a massive advantage, as we know from Ange's first season. He had a massive advantage to start with. So I think United will be up there. But as long as we deal with injury issues, that's what I worry about. I'm just paranoid about injuries because of what happened to us before. And I think obviously depends on who else we sign as well, right? Because if we did get Savino and Eze, I think I might be saying we can get slightly higher. We can get 5th. We can get maybe 4th if one of the other teams go. I think the top 4 are going to be Chelsea, Liverpool, City, and Arsenal. I think they're going to be quite a bit stronger than everyone else, to be honest. And we're in our first season with a new manager. You're not going to gel as much as they are. They've got the chemistry already. Lennon Dino says, "Who will we actually sell for cash money this summer? We're coasting from PSR, but think cash flow is more the issue for us." Solomon, I think we'll sell Solomon for seen some murmurs that they want Leeds want to pay 10 to 12 million and we want 20. I can see that getting done.
Yeah,
because Leeds are desperate for signings as well. So I can see Solomon going for cash. Basuma, what do you reckon?
I mean, he's got
not going to
2
get
years
registered.
left on the contract.
He's not getting registered in the squad. I can tell you that much. Champions League, there's no room. So
no. I think if we can find a buyer, then
I actually had a feeling he might go West Ham because of Potter, and we've dealt with West Ham this summer. So I thought, maybe actually there'll be a bit of dialogue there, and he might end up going West Ham. It's probably why he was crying in that photo last week, whatever it was that we saw. Probably found out West Ham won him. Great.
Yeah, thanks. Brilliant.
Prof. Go on, Bob. You said.
Yeah, no. I think it comes back to squad building. We have a lot of. We don't have many of those middle ranking decent players that we can sell. We've got a lot of good. We've got the first team and a lot of kids.
Yeah,
and we don't have a lot of room to shift. We don't want to. And we don't
doesn't
have
seem
the room to
Richarlison
sell
wants to go
many.
anywhere either. Doesn't seem like that. And
No.
I would imagine he would have been the other kind of candidate. Obviously, Brian Hill, I think, will go, but I'm not really even counting him, to be honest, because he's not really integrated in the squad.
No.
Prof wants us to share how we reacted when the final whistle went in Bilbao. You go first, then, Bob.
I'll say I couldn't speak for 2 days or 3 days after the final. Yeah. I shouted. I called my dad from the stadium. He couldn't hear a word I was saying. Yeah, just a lot of shouting, jumping, hugging people that I've never met and will never meet again.
Where did you watch it in Bilbao, or did you go to
No, I
Bilbao,
was at
or
the
did you
Spurs
watch it in
ground.
the stadium? In the stadium,
Yeah,
yeah. So I
yeah,
was behind the goal in the upper tier in Bilbao,
yeah,
and when the whistle went, I well, I don't know if this is embarrassing or not. I just burst into tears. I couldn't stop for about 10 minutes. I was just crying uncontrollably. I just think that everything we've been through with Poch, getting so
yeah,
close, all the hate we've had from media and mocking from other fans. I know you say don't let it affect you, but I love Spurs. I don't want us to be, well, we don't deserve that. We've done everything the right way, and I think it all came out. And when we did it, and I think as well seeing Son lift it, I get choked up again now.
yeah,
I turned to my dad, and my dad just kind of held me because I was almost collapsing in my seat,
yeah,
crying. And then these two guys to our right, who we'd been talking to, you know what it's like when you're at a game, you just best
yeah,
mates with everyone. And guy just held me and he said, "Look, we've done it, mate. We've done it." And I just, I went all over again. Oh, it was just,
yeah,
best night I've ever had supporting Spurs. That was, and we went straight out and I found a bar around the corner. Like it was like 200 yards away, and we just went in there and had a few. And like you, I couldn't. And my voice was gone for
yeah,
days. Absolutely. Did you
yeah.
go to the parade?
No, I couldn't get off work, sadly.
Getting back from Carcassonne in France, we went via and stuff like that. I missed
Yeah,
that, but my dad managed to make it. But I obviously don't live in London anymore, so it was a bit going. But
yeah,
that was incredible. But yeah, that's how I reacted to the final whistle. We've got one question on YouTube, but I just think we should answer top three players just very
yes.
quickly. If we've got time, Prof. Top three players from our past you'd like to sign for this season at their peak. I'll go first because I can do this really quick.
Go on then.
Gareth Bale, Luka Modric, Harry Kane.
Okay. I would be Kane. I'd go Gaza to play 8 or 10,
Oh,
and oh, just Hoddle, just because I never really saw him play.
Huddle. My
Yeah,
dad loves Huddle. Right.
yeah,
I think we're going to end it there because it's gone on for quite a while, and I hope everyone has enjoyed it. We certainly have. Putting the world to rights and talking about Spurs.
yeah.
Could be better than that? Thanks to
Be better.
everyone for your questions. Really appreciate that. Actually, really loads of you in here asking questions. That was really enjoyable. And thanks to Prof for putting it together as well. And if you did enjoy it, then we'd be happy to do another one sometime. Maybe talk about when we've beaten Burnley or something next week, or
Yeah,
won their first 3 or 4 games in a row. We'll do another one maybe, and celebrate signing Eze and Savino and whatnot. So
yeah.
cheers everyone, and
Thank you very much.
we'll see you soon. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, see you all later.
COYS, come on you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.